Hi, good morning all. So how was today's test? Were you able to complete all the questions in the given time? Hello. Were you able to complete? How many of you completed all the questions in the given time? Okay. Okay, so you're just beginning. It's day 3. You'll gradually move on to that. And if anything related to speed or answer that is concerned, you can ask me. I'll guide you on that. So now let's begin with today's first 2 questions I'll be taking today, and the rest 3 questions Birendra sir will be taking. Okay. So the first question. The decriminalization of politics is essential for good governance. In this context, evaluate the effectiveness of the disqualification provisions under the Representation of the People Act 1951. This is a 150 words question, 10 marker question. Okay. Yesterday, I was dealing with 15 marker questions. Today, I will tell you how to deal with 10 marker question, the structure and how to generate points and all these things. So, firstly, now we begin with this. So, tell me what are the keywords in this question. Decriminalization of politics first, then good governance, very good, then disqualification provisions, RPA. Yes, these 4 are the keywords. And now we have identified the keywords. Now what is the demand of the question? Anyone? Yes, please. For what? Effectiveness for what? Okay. Okay, one thing you both missed. Anybody else? Yes. Yes, that very good. But one thing more, one keyword you all are missing. That yes, very good. Good governance. How decriminalize? Why is criminalization of politics is important for good governance? This is the essence of the question. It will need to be reflected in introduction, body parts, and then in the conclusion. So this is why understanding what the question is demanding from you holistically is very important. This is the first step when you start writing. If you start just writing, because after this point, the decriminalization of politics essential for good governance. After this, the question begins. Evaluate the effectiveness. Some of you will directly begin with the disqualification provisions, the RPA or something like that. But you have to bring in good governance and criminalization and decriminalization of politics in the introduction itself. Okay. So now, introduction. What would be a good introduction? Anybody just a few points? How will you start the introduction, definition, context, anything? Just give me something. Okay, very good. Anything else? Yesterday also I said combine some things in the introduction. Very good, you mentioned the data. Database 5,000 pending cases against MPs, 46% have criminal cases, around 23 have serious criminal charges. These kind of data, any one data, whichever you think is convenient, you can pick up. So we begin with data-based introduction. We have to expand the keyword also along with it, because the question is not just about decriminalization of politics. It is also about good governance. So you have to bring in some aspects of good governance. And I've written one model introduction. The recent ADR analysis of the 2024 Lok Sabha elections revealed that 46% of MPs have criminal cases, 31% have serious charges like murder and rape. This undermines good governance where lawbreakers become lawmakers. We use the keywords and we cover the essence of the question. This is why it is important to know what is the essence of the question. That is why this is the first step in answer writing, understanding what the question is demanding from you before you even begin writing. Okay, so everybody's clear with introduction, then we'll move to the body structure. The body structure. There are 3 things. Firstly, disqualification provisions under RPA. Here only you will tell the effectiveness. What happens in 10 marker question is now you can create as many parts as you want, but there will be paucity of space and words to address that. So you need to club that, and you need to be brevity. There needs to be a brevity in your answer, in especially in 10 markers. You have to say a lot of things in a very less number of words. So for the first part of the question, the disqualification provisions, along with this you will tell the effectiveness. Are they effective? What are, there are some provisions, there must be some merit in that, so just show that through it. Then the second part will be the tone of the question. When I said understanding what the question is demanding from you, again, like yesterday the water dispute question, this question also, the tone of the question is essentially negative. So what you need to do is focus more on this part. This part will be less focused and more focus has to be given on this part. You have to prioritize what is the question score demand is, and you have to give in more points in that part. So hindrances in effectiveness of disqualification provisions. And last will be the way forward. There is a problem, you need to give a solution, even if not directly asked, even if 2 points, but you need to give that. So now let's see, explore the templates and to see how to generate the points for these answers. Firstly, this is a very basic topic from governance part. Before moving on to this, let me focus on governance questions, how to handle them. Okay, governance is a very small topic in paper 2, but this is the area where you can score well, you can have an edge, because everybody has that same things: transparency, accountability, rule of law, and those things. Okay, so you can take 1 or 2 day and just excel in this subject. So what you need to do when you start studying this subject, just sit with the syllabus, put the topic as the heading, search for some keywords and templates. I will tell you how to generate those points. Just work on some value addition, because this is the part which most people ignore, that we will generate points, but this needs to be focused. There are some niche areas, like in paper 2 this governance and social justice part, in paper 3 the internal security part, which is often ignored, but it helps you to create certain edge in exam. Everybody will be studying economy, you can focus a little more on internal security. Similarly, in paper 2 everybody is focusing on polity and IR. This is the area which often gets ignored, so you can give a relatively more focus on this to gain a better edge. Okay, so how will that be? I will also show you how to do value addition. In the last of this slide I have included few of my notes, you will see from that. So now, firstly, first part, disqualification provisions under RPA, effectiveness. You do not need to write this much. I have just shown some templates how to generate points, because everybody thinks differently. Somebody might write expand this one, somebody might expand this one, someone might expand this one. There are n numbers of points, but you need to prioritize with which you have points for and with which you are comfortable. Okay, so firstly, keyword expansion. We identified the keyword good governance. Okay, so while giving the sections, the provisions under RPA, focus on good governance. Any point you write, any disqualification provision you mention, that is a factual question. Okay, that I have not focused here, because that is a content based thing. You need to have that, the provisions, what is there, how to link it to the question. You cannot just blatantly write all the provisions here. You have to connect it to the good governance, and how good governance is ensured by decriminalization of politics. There is a relation. When we decriminalize politics, there will be good governance. That is essentially what the question is saying. So now let's focus on good governance. How these provisions that will lead to decriminalization will in turn ensure good governance. We all know good governance के basic वो 8 points होते हैं: rule of law, transparency, accountability, participation of people, and what all are written, equity and inclusiveness. Okay, so mold these topics, expand the keyword. This is also one of the very important template. Whatever keyword that you get, like yesterday we got federalism, or any keyword that you will get that is a part of your syllabus, you will have static content for that. Just expand that keyword. Okay, here you expanded good governance and you got some 3-4 points, and you can mold the provisions whatever is there in RPA with this and generate 2-3 points. Okay, you just need to write 3 to 4 points in this part. More points will be covered in the next part. Okay, because the tone of the question is negative and you need to focus more on that. Second, conflict resolution template. As I told yesterday, the constitutional provisions, you can there is Mohinder Gill case in which Supreme Court stated that ECI, Election Commission of India, has plenary powers under Article 324. So here you can mention Article 324. Whatever RPA generates its powers from, it is from constitutional Article 324. Okay, so this is the constitutional dimension. The legal dimension, RPA itself, and then thirdly, institutional, that is Election Commission of India. So this template you can use after this keyword expansion, the conflict resolution template. Then constitutional approach. Again, the fundamentals on which the constitution is based. You need to know that. Just prepare on a sheet of paper what are the fundamentals on which the constitution is based. You can get an idea from basic structure. What all contents form part of basic structure are the ideals on which the constitution is based. For example, equality, democracy, welfare state, free and fair elections. So these things you can use, club it with the provisions and create your point. I have not given those points because I am not here to give content. I am here to give you a way of thinking, how to generate points. Maybe the question will change, but when you have this approach, you will know how to answer that question, because many questions come you do not have answers to. You need to create points then and there. So this is how these templates, these frameworks will help you there. Next is pestle approach. Again, political accountability, social justice. These are more or less same points, but different approach. The way you think, you're comfortable in thinking with. Okay, like I was comfortable with yesterday, I told syllabus mapping approach and this constitutional approach. Somebody might be very comfortable with pestle approach. But what you need to do in pestle approach also is not just political, economic, social in every answer. Just change some, just tweak some keywords. Like on only writing political dimension, write political accountability. Writing society, write social justice. For legal basis. Something, just tweak the keywords and it will look like you're not using this approach. It will look like something new. Okay. Last is Supreme Court judgments that you can use. Definitely, it is a very important Supreme Court judgments and committee recommendations for value addition in your answers. So you can either use Lily Thomas case in which instant disqualification was recommended, or either this ADR versus Union of India case where criminal antecedents need to be disclosed. These things you need to have in your notes, because this is a very relevant topic and very repetitive topic which repeats every year, and the discussion about one nation one election. So this whole election system, election machinery is very much in news. You need to be well versed with these topics. And even if some question comes where you have these templates where you can generate points from. Okay. Now this is the main demand of the question. Limited effectiveness of disqualification provisions. How is that limited? Okay. So and how is it hindering good governance? Keep that in mind. You're not putting it here. This does not mean you need not keep that in mind. You need to keep the essence of the question in your mind, what the question was initially demanding from you. That decriminalization of politics will lead to good governance, and criminalization of politics is hindering good governance. How is that hindering? We will see in this part. Okay. Firstly, again, keyword expansion, good governance. Public trust and public participation is one of the part of good governance. So erosion of public trust becomes an issue there. Okay, so you can expand that keyword. Next, accountability is compromised when the candidates are not disqualified, and when I think there is some discrepancy between voters. Voters cannot vote when they have criminal charges, but somebody with criminal charges can participate in election. That kind of discrepancy is created. So that compromises accountability of the political class. Okay. So again, equity and inclusiveness. Again comes the conflict resolution template. Here, sorry, slide. Okay. Conflict resolution template: constitutional, legal, and institutional. Lack of constitutional power. Mohinder Gill case definitely said that ECI has plenary power, but there is no objective or clear-cut guideline to what extent ECI can exert its power. So there is a need for constitutional empowerment of ECI. Second, disqualification. This is the legal dimension. Disqualification only upon conviction. This is a very factual thing again. And again, even conviction can be appealed. More delay. Conviction that can be appealed in the court, and there is more delay in conviction, in disqualification. And then again, less power, institutional, less powers with ECI. So we are done with keyword expansion template and conflict resolution template. Now, constitutional approach. Now tell me, what is the constitutional problem in this, in its effectiveness of RPA? What constitutional principles are being compromised in this issue? Representation, very good. And yes, right to equality, definitely. There's a difference between an ordinary citizen and how the politicians are being treated. Very good. Rule of law, yes, rule of law, definitely. How use of resources?
they use their unlegal resources for their promotion or the other things.
Okay.
They are become nice, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, the hamper free and fair election. That is what you're saying. Okay, free and fair election is compromised. Very good. So, see, this is how you think. When you know what are the ideals of the constitution, you can generate points very easily in paper two. Okay, keyword expansion when you know from your basic notes, then conflict resolution template. This template is very good. Constitutional approach. You need to have a glossary of the ideals, and you will be able to generate points in most of the questions in paper two. Okay, that does not mean you need to generate points then and there. Please have some basic notes for topics in good governance. Okay. Pestle approach again. Political leaders, the quality of political leaders is compromised. The decision making at the political level is compromised. What do you think when people with criminal charges sit and decide for the people? What quality of schemes and policies would be there? So that is compromised. You can get that from pestle approach. Then administrative challenges are created because repeated election, repeated disqualification, their administrative machinery is shaken up again and again. Then there is social unrest in society, social dissatisfaction with their leaders. So these kind of templates and frameworks will help you to generate more and more points, but you need to be very cautious. Okay, you need to prioritize which part you have to generate more points, because these frameworks will help you to generate points for any part of the answer, but you need to prioritize which part needs more focus, which part needs less focus. Here I have written 5 templates for this, but this requires only 2 to 3 points. This part requires more points. So use these frameworks very wisely, where it has to be used and where how it has to be prioritized. Okay, so now way forward, very the framework for way forward is very easy. Firstly, committee recommendations. For most of the topics, you have Dinesh Goswami committee, everybody knows, for election commission, the recommendations. Second, ARC, law commission, best practices you can follow from Germany, France. Just collect some good practices related to elections. And then reverse issues. Whatever the issues are, there is always an ideal situation. Some issue is existing in society or polity or anything, there would always be an ideal situation, how it should be. That should be the way forward. Okay, if there is a problem in the some municipal department in the city, what is the ideal situation? The problem should not be there. How that problem would not be there? When the administration is proactive, when it is consulting with the people about their problems. So that becomes your way forward. So think like this: what will be the ideal situation and how to achieve that ideal situation, and you will be able to generate points for way forward. Okay, even if you do not know these committee recommendations or best practices, but for most part of your syllabus, you need to know some committees. I mean, you're preparing for paper 2 and you need to know second ARC report, Sarkaria Commission report. You need not read it, but some points for governor issue and here and there. You need to have that. But even if you don't, you can do this. You can think, you just keep thinking how to improve. The conflict resolution thing must look and reflect in your answers. Okay. Now, conclusion. You tell me what conclusion you have written, how you have drafted. Any good ideas for conclusion? Very good, very good. You have covered the whole essence of question: criminalization of politics and good governance as well. Yes, yes. Very. You have used a quote and keyword. Very good. Anybody else? Uh, can you just repeat it once? See, it is good, but it is very generic. Okay, we have a tendency to write this must be done, this must be done. This is very vague. You have given a concrete way forward. This needs to be done. Then in conclusion, reiterating something needs to be done. That is a very generic conclusion. Anybody can write that, and that is a very below average thing to write. Something needs to be done. It's not very attractive and not very grasping. So you need to add some value to the conclusion. So some things that I have written: again, constitutional approach, free and fair elections are the bedrock of democracy. I think former election commission, somebody said this, so I just wrote it. I do not remember who said this, but this is a very good keyword. free and fair elections are bedrock of democracy. You can change that also sometime. Free and fair elections ke jagah, good governance is the bedrock of democracy. Something like that. Good keywords from the constitutional approach. This emanates from the constitution. That is why I'm stressing on this constitutional approach framework. Just have a list of ideals on which constitution is based. You will get some 25 to 30 points and you can use them across the papers. Okay. And again, keywords, ethical governance. The question mentions good governance. We have seen that flow diagram, everybody must have seen governance, good governance, and ethical governance. How these three are intrinsic part and they are form a concentric circle. So when the question says good governance, you can explore ethical governance. When the polity is decriminalized, the governance will translate to good governance, and then eventually good governance will translate into ethical governance, where all the stakeholders in the society are benefited. So again, you see, this is cross paper linkages. Ethical governance. Why was I able to think this? Because I thought from paper 4 aspect as well. When you write answer in one paper now, you have to be very active and cross link across the papers. This ethical governance I could think because of paper 4 dimension I brought in paper 2. So please think in all the directions when you're writing any answer. Paper 1 in paper 3, paper 2 in paper 4, paper 4 in paper 1. So across that, so you will be able to generate many points. Okay, so this now we're done with the first question. Now next question 2. Do microfinancing initiatives through SHG offer a viable pathway to break the intersectional challenges of poverty and gender inequality? Substantiate with examples. 150 words, 10 marker. One thing, in 10 marker question, you need to write 10 to 12 points. Okay, and 15 marker, 15 to 17 points. Okay, so there's the difference. So now let's identify the keywords. What are the keywords? Please tell me. Microfinancing, SHGs, poverty, gender inequality, intersectional challenge. Okay, these 5. Okay, poverty, gender inequality, and how they are an intersectional challenge. And substantiate with examples. Ordinarily, you will write examples in all the questions. Why is example important? How is it a source of value addition? Because it validates your point. You're saying something, SHGs are good. Who will believe you? Why are SHGs good? You need to give example of Kudum Bushri, Millet Sister Network, Looms of Ladakh, or any case study that you have read. That is why examples are important. Here it is specifically mentioned, so you need to give some more examples in this. And SHG, again, directly mentioned in your syllabus, so you need to have good quality content for that. Okay, that you need to have. We'll focus on structure here. Now, what is the demand of the question? First thing, after identifying the keywords, we need to understand the demand of the question. So what is the demand of the question? Anybody? This is a very easy question. Directly stated demand, no hidden demand, nothing. So please tell me. No, we'll come to introduction later. Now first understand what is the demand, what is the essence of the question that I'm talking about. For intersectional challenge. Yes, it's a very straightforward demand, nothing hidden in this. Okay, so the demand of the question is how microfinancing through SHGs, not only SHGs, microfinancing through SHGs. SHGs perform many functions. Here, microfinancing function which they perform, through that, how can you break the intersectional challenge of poverty and gender inequality? That is the core demand of the question. We'll come to introduction. What kind of introduction can you write in this? Defining SHGs or what? How will you start this answer? SHG with? With? Okay, microfinance with self-help groups. And anything else? What statement? Okay, but again, this is covering the demand of the question partially. We identified SHG along with poverty and gender inequality is the question. Okay. Yes, very good. Now you understand. Identifying the keywords, this is why it is important. Because in introduction, it cannot be partial. Introduction is not for one part of the question. You are not going to introduce again. Firstly, I will introduce SHG. Now I'm writing about SHG. Then I will introduce poverty and gender inequality. Then I will write about that. No, introduction is the introducing aspect of whole answer, whole demand of the question. So it cannot be partial. So how you will write is firstly, collect some data. You might have of poverty and gender inequality. 16% of the population is is below poverty line or something like that. Any data that you have from multidimensional poverty index or World Bank or any data. Then feminization of poverty. How this feminist dimension is very important. Hunger, health, education. Everywhere you study, one dimension is feminist dimension. So you need to know what is the feminist dimension of poverty in India. So have some data for that too. Then evolutionary. Mix it with SHG emergence. This kind of poverty, the SHG emerged during 1990s due to growing poverty. You can write some comparative data from 1990s and club it with the emergence of SHG by Muhammad Yunus, like for example, Grameen Bank. The evolutionary introduction is also very good. Like yesterday also I told you in questions like Panchayati Raj institutions or women's movement, the evolutionary perspective creates a very good kind of introduction, which helps the examiner know you not only know the current aspect but also the history behind this theme, which is being recurrent in nature. This has been in news for the past few years, but has been in existence for the past 30 years. Okay, so you know that history. Evolutionary kind of introduction helps the examiner know, okay, you are a well read person and you know the history behind something which has been asked in the question. Okay, so that is how this helps. Next, body structure. What will be the body structure? You tell me. This is a 10 marker question. You cannot have many body parts, but few. What will be those? Okay, poverty, gender inequality. Okay, anything else? Okay,
And I have divided 8 parts.
significance in 8 parts. Okay. So now when we try to do the understand the demand of the question, one thing I think I missed. What is the directive of this question? Okay. Do microfinance institutions break the intersectional challenge of poverty and gender inequality? Okay. Again, the tone of the question is kind of evaluate, assess, ऐसा कुछ लिखा नहीं है यहाँ पे. Nothing is written like that. But you have to understand, does it? Is it really helping? So the tone of the question is you have to bring in both sides, the strengths as well as the limitation of SHG and microfinance. Are they really helping? Because when you showed the data in introduction, poverty is still there. Okay, it should be more on the lesser side, but it is not. So I don't think it is really helping. So you need to bring out that side also, the significance as well as challenges. So you were right, significance, challenges, both needs to be written here. So SHG, microfinance, addressing poverty and gender inequality. This will be your first part. Second part will be SHG, microfinance, issues and viability. This viability I took from the question itself, this word. Okay, instead of writing what are the issues, what are the challenges, what are the problems, what are the hindrances, pick word from the question itself and create a heading. Okay, now the last would be way forward. If not directly asked, please mention just 2 points. Firstly, SHG microfinance, addressing poverty and gender inequality. Firstly, it is already giving you a template. What happens in 10 marker question, there is not much scope to expand the answer. Okay, so here already the question has given you the template, the keyword expansion framework that I was talking about, poverty and gender inequality and their intersectionality. You already have 3 templates. You have to generate points from there. Okay, you might have some notes in poverty topic, you might have some notes in gender inequality topic, so you can use the notes from there and connect it with SHG and do it here. Okay, at last I will show how I was used to interlink and how I can generate these points. Okay, the question has already given you templates. You need to find out that when question is already giving you templates, you do not need to think much about templates. You can solve this question, you can write this question more easily and more in a more faster way. Okay, firstly, poverty, You can think about whatever notes you have in polity, like I had this DA, National Rural Livelihood Mission. I can use that for SHGs. Then it encourages financial discipline in SHG, and in poverty we need to have financial discipline. We need to have micro savings. Along with microfinance, it helps in micro savings. It has 90, again some data needs to be there in your answer. It helps to add value to the answer. Okay, justifies and validates your point. So 96% is the repayment rate for SHGs. Overcoming informal lending, poverty and agriculture, these kind of topics, we always see the issues of debt trap, how informal lending sources are making, leading to pauperization of the peasantry. So you can bring in that idea also. Other sources of informal lending, which people are enticed to. Okay. Next, the gender inequality framework. Loans to women, feminization of agriculture. We have read in agriculture. So you can bring out that from GS3 paper. Feminization of agriculture is happening, and SHG and microfinance, how will that help in this dimension? Okay. And there is again a data. SHG is a very basic topic of your syllabus. You need to have some 2-3 datas for that. Okay. So 88% led by women. Kudumbashri, you can give example. She Taxi from Kudumbashri. Just collect some good example of SHGs. There are many success stories. Just collect 4, 5, 6, and you will be able to answer those questions. If the question is directly on SHG, if the question is on poverty, if the question is on gender inequality, on vulnerable section, on good governance, you can all use these examples interchangeably. Okay, the question is directly about SHG, so obviously you should must have notes for that. Millet sister network, that is helping in nutrition. All these kind of things you can bring about. Okay, the question has given you the dimension. Now you need to think about what kind of content you have for that and just bring it from there. Okay, and these things you might have studied during your prelims also. Use that knowledge also. What happens in prelims, we have that knowledge fresh. We know a lot of facts that we studied in different kinds of subjects. Bring that notes into here also. That will solve a lot of problems your content. Here we must focus on structuring. Okay, intersectional empowerment. So these 3 points, write 2-3 points under each. This part is covered. Now SHG microfinance, issues in viability. Again, pestle approach, data based approach. You need to, when you're telling issues in governance and social justice kind of topics, now you cannot just write education is not good, health is not good. Why is it not good? What is happening at the ground level? What is the data? Just collect some good data. So here 50% of SHGs are concentrated in southern Indian states. This is skewed regional distribution. Small scale operations. Most of the SHGs are operating in a very small scale, limited manner, which led our Prime Minister to say that small self help groups need to be translated into national help groups at a more grand level. Okay. So this is one of the problem. From pestle approach, there is political interference and politicization in there. Informal lenders, that is from economic dimension, you can think. Then from social dimension, you can think there is debt trap. Then social exclusion. Then from the technological aspect, you can say there is lack of tech upgradation, because most of these SHGs are concentrated in rural and urban areas. Okay, so there is a lack of technology updation there. So these are the problems associated with SHGs. These are the very basic form of your notes. You need to just cater it according to the demand of the question. Okay.
Ma'am, there is
Yes.
awareness and the legal support is also.
Yes, obviously. Help for this approach, you can write that there is lack of legal support. And just that is why I'm telling you. I'm not giving you content. I'm here to give you ideas. See, you generated 1 point on your own, which I missed. You can think of more points. I have written limited points because I'm not here to give you content. If I was here to give content, there would be 50, 60 slides. Okay. Here are just some slides which are giving you a way to think, how you have to think, how you have to answer. Because this question may or may not replicate in the paper, but this topic may replicate, where you need to think differently. You cannot, you have written answer for this today. If some question comes in test series or in the mains exam about SHG, but it is something different, here it was gender inequality and poverty, maybe they will connect it with nutrition or government schemes or anything. So you cannot write the same content there, but you can use the same idea there to generate the points. That is what I'm saying. Okay, so very good. Now last, issues and viability, we did this, no? Now way forward. Again, here we can write from the pestle approach. Government support, as you mentioned, there is lack of policy and legal support, so we can give some government support, that is from legal aspect. Tech updation, we can give example of Kerala e-governance model. Most of the SHGs are concentrated in Kerala, and there was recently some few a year back there was a new Kerala, the e-governance model of Kerala, the Kerala fiber optic network, so something like that. So this is how you connect the news. Something you heard in news, you bring it here. We saw 50% operation of SHGs are in southern states, and we know that Kerala e-governance model is top notch. So you can bring in that example to show this can be one of the causation factor for the growth of the SHGs. Okay. So this is how you have to do. Something you read, something you heard, you have to bring in. And when you think from these frameworks now, you will be able to bring. When you think of technological aspect, some data will come to your head. I read this, okay, e-governance, digital India, something like that. Kerala e-governance model, apart from this, you could have written digital India or anything like that. But that will come when you think from these approaches. You just not reading your content. Everybody has content. How you're thinking when you are writing, that is the most important part. Okay. Again, constitutional approach, some DPSP must be there, social justice, anything. Okay, you can bring in that. Best practices, I had something like Looms of Ladakh. It has international operations operating outside India. That is how we can expand the SHG network. So I wrote that here. Keywords based, some keywords, collect some good keywords. I mentioned yesterday, collect it from PIB. I got this from PIB. India is moving from women development to women led development. So these kind of phrases and quotes that will come in very handy. And again, SHG to NHG, and there is a Panch Sutra model for SHGs, some timely payments, timely bookkeeping, or something like that. You can find it anywhere, the Panch Sutra of SHGs. Conclusion. Now here again, you can either write SDGs. You saw gender inequality is there, poverty is there, so you can bring in SDGs. This is very generic, but sometimes when you do not have some any ideas, so SDGs come in handy. Secondly, I have written one idea. I found this somewhere. Professor J. Stiglitz, idea of fourfold capital development: natural, social, material, and human. How SHG will ensure all these kinds of development that you need to do. You can bring in content from paper 3, inclusive development, something you might have read in inclusive development, something of Niti Aayog, some index or anything, and just combine how SHG is will be able to, if all these issues are resolved, how SHG will be able to ensure all these things. A very futuristic and optimistic things. If all these issues, whatever issues we listed, are resolved by this way forward, what will be the conclusion? What will be the finale? Conclusion is the finale. Okay. What will happen when these issues are resolved by the help of these way forwards? So you need to write that in conclusion. Even if you do not have these ideas, you can create an idea or write a futuristic thing. This is here just to give you an idea. If you have it, very good. If you do not, just think what will happen when these issues are resolved, and you can write that idea in the conclusion. Okay. So, yes, jam in conclusion. No, conclusion is a very broad thing. You cannot write very something very niche in that. Jam Trinity you can use here in pestle approach. Jam, something like Jam Trinity could be for favor focused for promoting SHGs. That is good. I'm just giving you an idea. Not only this inclusion, anything you, any idea, something you might have read in poverty or any topic, something good that you can connect with SHG. That is what I'm saying. I'm not giving you content that you need to write this. That is why I do not write concrete conclusion that you need to think. Okay, you have written inclusion and significance. Very good. Think of something else here to write. Okay, and connect it with SHGs. And you said Jam Trinity. That is a very particular and very specific idea. Conclusion cannot be very specific in focusing on a particular point. It has to cover whole essence of the topic, of the issue that is being highlighted in the question. So it has to be holistic and wholesome. Okay. So now some notes I've included. 2 slides. SHG. This is not my main notes. Main notes was 8 to 10 pages. This I prepared a short note. What needs to be replicated to study between paper 1 and paper 2, whatever gap is there. So I made this. This is because those points I will be able to generate. I cannot learn those points that you need to generate. This is value addition. Yesterday also I was talking about this. Just if it is not the time to make notes, don't make notes. If anybody beginner or somebody do not have notes, but please do this. This will take just 2 pages. Just understand what is SHG. You have understood how to generate points when you do not have notes. Okay, I have told you how to generate points when you do not have notes, when you do not know about the topic or any case. This you need to have. This is what you need to do on your part. Okay, that is why I've included this in the notes. Framework, I will tell you, sir will tell you, that you will get, but this value addition you need to do. And it is just 2 page, and this was a small copy, not big page. Okay, here some data: 1.2 crore SHG, 88% are women centric, 50% in 4 southern state, bank repayment rate in 96%. I just have 3 data and I used it in the answer. All 3 data I have used. See this. That is what I was saying. Just collect few things and use it repetitively. On content part, you do this from your side. Framework, templates, how to generate points, that will be taken care of by these sessions. Okay. So some few quotes are there: by women, of women, for women, power to, power with, power within. India is transformed from women development. SHG need to be transformed to energies. And a world of 3 zeros idea by Muhammad Yunus, Professor J. Stiglitz's idea. You could have used this idea, world of 3 zeros, but I chose to use this idea because I use it repetitively across papers. Panchasutra. Then these are examples that were used. Kudambashri, looms of Ladakh, sanitary napkins production by Assam SHG, Millet Sisters Network, and this thing is important. This, what is in pink box. I have linked SHG. The content from SHG I can use in these topics, and content from these topics I can use in SHG. That is what I have written here in a highlighted box. Use data and content from women, education, health, poverty. See, poverty, this was the question, and these are my notes from last year. I have mentioned poverty here. I can use data from poverty in SHG, and I can use data and content from SHG in poverty. Hunger, employment, vulnerable section, that is women, and inclusive development. Interlinks. Everybody talks about interlink. This is the interlink. Sit with the topic, see its PYQs. Now you know how to generate points, and link it from where you can generate points. The syllabus mapping approach, which I told you, this is the syllabus mapping approach. How you can bring in content from other papers and cross fertilize the ideas. Okay, so this was about my thing. And if you have any doubt, with second 7B, you can bring in your copies, answers for evaluation if you want. Veterans can bring right now. Even beginners can, but try to write few answers and then you can bring this. Any problem you face, you can come and see us in 7B. Okay. So thank you so much and all the best. So we'll take over now.
Hello everyone, good morning. How's the answer writing session going on at home? Not here. Any particular problem anyone is facing related to the PYQs or value addition or anything like that? See, when you are exploring the previous year's questions, obviously you will face there is lack of content, lack of value addition. So right then and there only you have to update your notes, right? It is not like go and pick up the notes randomly and start reading everything. It is not going to help you. So based on the previous year's questions, topic wise, micro topic wise, start preparing your own notes. And I will not suggest you to start preparing the holistic notes, just the value addition. Because once you will start analyzing the keywords, the statement, quantity will not be an issue. But yes, for quality, you have to basically collect some data, some facts, the way ma'am has shown you, the way she used to do it, right? So let's begin with the next question, question number 3. Public services must be based on merit, not patronage. In this regard, examine how recent civil services reforms aims to reconcile neutrality with responsiveness in administration. Before we start with this question, I would like to explain you, or I would like to tell you that the questions, the questions which are from the governance topic are very open-ended question. You hardly will get direct hit from your notes, right? You will hardly get hit from your notes. For example, discuss the significance of self-help group in poverty reduction. discuss the significance of self-help group in women empowerment. So these kind of direct hit you will hardly get, right? You will always see there are a lot of intersectionality in the governance question, where like many stakeholders will be involved, right? What will be the issues with them? Issues related to the coordination, cooperation, right? So that is the reason why it is very difficult to score good marks in the GS paper 2 also, along with the GS paper 3. So because we don't have the ready-made content for GS paper 2, especially when the question is from the governance, right? So in that case, always make sure you at least write n number of points, right? At least ensure the quantity if you do not have the quality. But how to generate the point, that we will see in this discussion. A lot of ideas you will get from this session. I will tell you how to think about it, especially the questions of, I think, CP Grams. If that question you might have find it a bit on a tougher side, right? Because many of you might not had gone through what exactly the CP gram is, right? So I will tell you how to generate the point immediately, right? And the same concept you can apply in the previous year's questions as well, in other questions. So as far as this question is concerned, public services must be based on merit, not patronage, right? What is the idea of introduction? Are we like, one introduction I know many of you might have written, that the civil services is the steel frame of India. How many of you have written that statement? Okay, I was expecting that. Apart from that, you also? Apart from that? So you have used the quote. Okay. Yeah. So you have basically written the significance-based introduction, right? You have highlighted the significance of civil services. What else? Politicization of civil services. Okay. For the institution of civil services you're talking about. What starts in partially ends in shame, Mahabharat. Okay. You should be focusing, see, in the initial phases, focus on the brainstorming and then focus more on content. Meritocracy based introduction. Yes. So again, this is what I have been explaining in all the sessions, that interlinking has to be there and your introduction should capture the entire demand of the question. So the introduction of the idea is that the principle that public services must be based on merit, not patronage, reflects the core value of neutrality, right? It talks about the neutrality in civil services. However, in a dynamic democracy, responsiveness, addressing citizens' needs efficiently is equally vital, right? So it is, question is not only about the neutrality, but at the same time, we also have to brief about the significance of responsiveness, because the reason is your entire answer is going to be, or is going to address that responsiveness wala keyword, because that is the only keyword in this entire question which you can break down, right? As far as the neutrality is concerned, neutrality is already ensured, right? Through starting from the selection, right? Neutrality is there, but how to ensure the responsiveness, that is the keyword you have to break down. So that has to be the part of introduction, right? So introduction should give the idea to the examiner that what you are going to talk in the main body. Otherwise, there will be no coherence between the introduction and your main structure or the main body of the answer. So this is what I always say, make sure your introduction should capture the entire demand of the question is. So in the first part, I have talked about the neutrality. In the second part, I have linked it with the significance of responsiveness, right? So recent civil services reforms in India strive to balance these two objectives, right? This statement, one more thing I would like to explain, or add here this part, right? The last part, the recent civil services reforms in India strive to balance these two objectives. This statement is nothing. Why I have provided this statement? To create the hook in the introduction. To create the hook in the introduction. Because why this is a hook? Because now the examiner is more interested to know how. That is the reason why he will be more interested in reading your answer. How the civil, what are the various reforms and how it is going to strive or it is going to balance these two objectives. So creating a hook is very important in the introduction, as we say in the essay, right? If you have taken any classes of the essay, or if you have practiced essay answer writing, this is what everyone says: try to create a hook, right? So this is the idea. Now, apart from the introduction, now what is the demand of the question is? Which one? Recent civil services reforms in India strive to balance these two objectives. This is the conclusion. It means you did not understand when I was explaining about the idea of conclusion yesterday. Conclusion is when the civil services will be responsive, when the civil services will be neutral, what will be the broad objective you will achieve? What will be the broad objective you will achieve? In a very layman term, it will ensure the good governance, participatory governance, right? This is what we will achieve. Public service delivery will be effective. So think in the broad term, what you will achieve at the end, right? If the civil services will be neutral, then we can use also the, or if it will be responsive, then we can also use the quote that the like I can also say that the rusted steel framework of civil services can be converted into trusted steel framework, from rusted to trusted, right? So try to think like this. Now, as far as the demand of the question is concerned, what is the demand? How many demands are there? First, tell me. It's a 10-marker question. Has anyone attempted this question? What was the idea? Ravikant says 3 demands. What are the 3 demands? Ravikant? Yes? Uh-huh. Challenges. Why are you discussing the challenges in this? After that, what is the keyword? Then we can analyze the feature. Question is simple. How? It's a like one core demand of the question. There is only one core demand of the question. Where you have to write at least 7-8 points. I'm sorry? So various initiative. Core, how civil service reform ensure neutrality and responsiveness. Yes, that is the limitations will not go with that. How new reforms boost good governance. Yes, Pranjal, you are right. So there is only a single demand where you have to focus, right? The various reforms in the civil services, right? For what? Reforms for what? Neutrality is already there in place. We can say that, right? Though there are some issues with the neutrality, like political interferences and all, biasness and all, right? We can say that. But main idea is aim to reconcile neutrality with responsiveness in the administration. Responsiveness in the administration. See, the problem is what you guys are doing is you are literally interpreting the question. That is, I think, the problem is, right? So whenever you read the statement of the question, start applying it in the real life, right? So Responsiveness is the keyword which you have to address. Yes. See, in that case, it's a 10 marker question. You will not have the space, because if you are going to see the core demand, the first core demand is responsiveness. What are the various reforms, right? So various reforms, this is a core demand of the question, right? If you are going to write down like 7-8 points, right, and then you are saying we should also talk about the challenges, right? And then if you are going to write down the challenges, obviously you have to provide the suggestions then, right? Do you think this much of data you will be able to add? And see, another reason is why I am not suggesting to include the challenges, because the tone of the question is not issue based, right? So this is the reason, and it says how. This is the idea. How it is, or how the various civil services reforms ensures the responsiveness, right? So now the idea is, how can we break down this part, responsiveness? If you have to ensure the civil services reforms are responsiveness or responsive, just start thinking at what different level you can enhance the responsiveness, right? How? At different level. Start from the very scratch. Start from the, you can say, induction. Start from the at induction level, right? Civil servants are not only IAS, IPS officer, right? In the government department also, other officers, they are part of this civil servants, right? So from induction level, we can take the steps to increase the responsiveness, right? After then at skill level we can talk about, right? So this is how you have to start thinking at every level. How you see the only problem which you may face in this question is example, right? The example. Otherwise, I think you can generate the point. You can easily generate the point. For example, see, at recruitment and entry level reforms, right? Appointment of private sector expertise in policy making roles, right? When we are going to appoint the private sector experts, don't you think it will enhance or it will increase the responsiveness? Yes. Then at training and capacity building, फिर आप उनको training दो. At training level, you can think how you can increase or how you can enhance the responsiveness, right? Through Karam Yogi, Mission Karam Yogi. Then you can think about the skill upgradation. At skill level, you can think like I got Karam Yogi, right? Then effective functioning through technology. You can take the help from the technology also. You can make use of technology also, right? E-office, DBT platform, PFMS, and AI. Then at performance level also you can think of, for example, Pragati, right? Then ethics and conduct mechanisms, right? All India services conduct rules are there. E-Samiksha and CP Grams are there, right? Then accountability and incentive, right? Then annual performance appraisal report, APARs are there, right? Then the last is decentralization and field empowerment, right? For field empowerment also aspirational district programs, grants are there. These grants are directly given to the district DM, right? So when he will have a fund in his hand, so obviously it will enhance the responsiveness. Otherwise, if there won't be any decentralization, if there won't be any field empowerment, how the DM will take the action if he will not have the fund? So responsiveness के ऊपर focus करो at every stage. You got the idea? Everyone clear? So there is no critical analyze or analysis, just focus on one keyword, that is responsiveness at different level. So whenever question comes on the civil services reforms, right, you have to think at various stages. What are the various stages in the life of a civil servant? Right? At induction level, at training level, at skill upgradation level, how can you make use of technology, then assessment, appraisals, incentives, right? Then field empowerment. All these points are very important to understand. Otherwise, you will not be able to generate the points, right? So collect the examples only. What are the various reforms or civil services reforms the government has introduced, and start framing your own point, right? Now, so this is the idea. Now, yes,
Giving of the words should be very large, or it can be the one word or two word.
it can be one word or two word, as simple as that.
Today I read all these things, but use specifically one or two words.
It should not be too short. See, the idea is it is not about 2 words, 3 word or 4 word. It should make sense, right? It should make sense. Even if you are writing like 4 words, it should make sense, right? For example, like I am writing like this. If you are writing this much, you will get the marks, right? Because examiner is going to check your knowledge only, whether you have expertise in this topic or not, right? So that is how. If you will start Mission Karam Yogi, then you need half page. If you will start explaining the CP gram, you need half page. Even half page is less to explain the CP gram, right? So this is the thing. Apart from that, the first non-core demand of the question, that public service must be based on merit, not patronage, right? Why? So you can give some, like you can use some flowchart to address this non-core part of the question. For example, like meritocracy is it acts as a democratic principle. Then social equity, it ensures social equity and fairness, right? It ensures the public trust and legitimacy, rule of law and constitutionalism upheld, right? Sustainable development and policy continuity will be there. So these are some points you can write down in the very beginning, right after the introduction, right? But core demand is only one, that is civil services reforms reconciling neutrality with responsiveness. I hope this is clear. Now, as far as the idea of conclusion is concerned, I have referred, this is what I have been saying, even Shatakshi ma'am saying, for governance topic, trust me, the best possible introduction or conclusion you will get from the PIB. Trust me, the best possible keywords, right? So by invoking Nagrik Devo Bhava, the call is to build a civil services that is not only merit-based and politically neutral, but is also responsive and citizen-centric. So this statement was given by, or our Prime Minister has used this particular keyword, Nagrik Devo Bhava. Right? Ravikant, explanation, why not limitation? The reason is because, see, the tone of the, when you are reading the question clearly says focus on reforms. Focus on reforms. Under which section, sir, of PIB? It is not, there is no particular section of PIB. Whenever you are looking for any topic, just Google it and you can add PIB after that. Just go through couple of pages or couple of news and then you will get the keywords, right? So this is the idea. And apart from that, the another keyword which I have told you, like rusted framework, from rusted to trusted. Right? So these two keywords. Let any question come on the civil services. You should have at least 2-3 phrases, 1-2 quotes. Your job is done. Right? So I hope this is clear. Now, the next question, that is, CPgrams reflects the transition from reactive to proactive governance. Analyze the extent to which technology-enabled platforms like CPgrams can lead to systematic reforms beyond grievance redressal, right? So I can assume that, has anyone gone through the CPgram portal or the website? You did? Okay. So assume कर लेते हैं कि किसी को नहीं पता है what is, at least ये पता है what exactly the CPgram. It is a centralized portal, as its name says, right? It's a centralized portal for, yes, for grievances redressal, right? Ab grievances redressal means like, be it related to any scheme, be it related to the implementation, or be it related to the governance, right? Like all kind of grievances redressal mechanism related to the functioning of government can be addressed here, right? So this is all about this portal, CPgram portal, in very brief. Now question says, analyze the extent to which, right? Extent to which, this part is important. Now in this question, I'm going to divide the answer in how many parts? 3 parts, right? Significance, challenges or issues, and then suggestions. Why 4? No, not issues, like challenges, right? So challenges. What are the challenges we are facing, right? Then suggestions. Now, impact of what? See, when you are confused about what subheading you should be using, try to use, or it is always suggested that you should pick up the subheading from the question itself. Questions ke keyword se hi you frame the subheading, right? So what is the introduction? What we are going to write in the introduction? Obviously about CPgrams, right? And you can use this statement, from proactive governance, as from reactive to proactive. What does it mean? Prevention is better than cure. From governance point of view, just tell me in a very simple language, in very layman terms. No, in layman terms, what exactly? I'm sorry. Direct involvement of the public office. See, why we used to say that, why we say that it reflects the transition from reactive to proactive. Reactive means what? In what context the reactive word is being used? Yes. So earlier it used to be reactive. है ना? Earlier it used to be reactive. For example, government wanted to implement some scheme, right? Obviously, there will be some issues in the implementation, right? So earlier what used to be, if there is issues with the implementation, you will go to the government department, you will file the complaint, right? It will take time. Who will address it? No one knows about it, right? So it was more reactive. So instead of basically following the reactive approach, what government has done, government has launched this portal, right? Where you don't have to basically wait. You can give feedback related to the implementation of the scheme. You can know what all features are there, right? What are the issues individuals are facing, right? Or beneficiaries are facing, right? So from reactive to proactive approach has been followed through the CP-gram portal, right? That is the idea. Now, forget about the CP-gram, right? Now you know the portal. You have the basic idea about the portal. Now the point is, if you have to generate the point, right? What are the different aspects you can think of to generate the points? ग्राउंड रियलिटी पे जाके चीजों को सोचो. How the reactive approach is now, or how we have transited from reactive to proactive through CP-gram. How? Yes. Template. I need a broad template where you can fit the point. How can you generate the point? That is the idea. So technology can be one point. What else?
One-stop solution.
They have one portal and they can access all the
One-stop solution.
ठीक है, ये सब. See, you are giving me the content. What I am interested in, the idea. And when I'll show you the idea, you will be surprised to know that n number of points you will be able to generate. Think from, acha theek hai, let me tell you. Who all are the stakeholders in this process? And civil servants? Who else? Okay, just tell me. Okay, wait. We are talking about the government scheme, right? Yes. For example, government wanted to implement some scheme, right? So obviously government is a stakeholder, right? Individuals are a stakeholder. Who else are stakeholders? Very good. NGOs, civil societies. Who else? Corporate house, maybe we can say. What about judiciary and all? If judiciary has to check whether the benefits are reaching to the target community or not, right? Or whether if they want to check the legality of any particular legislation or scheme, they can also access the data from this portal. है ना? So from the judicial point of view, we can also think. Right? Any other stakeholders? Institutions, various institutions, right? Administration. Right? So now, this is a stakeholder approach, right? This is one template I can use to generate the point. Yes, administrators, right? How? I will show you. For example, so the idea is, the introduction idea I have told you, I have defined the CP-gram and how it exemplifies the shift from reactive file pushing bureaucracy to proactive technology enabled citizen centric administration. In GS paper 2, you get the marks when you use the keywords. So please prepare the list of the keywords you are going to use to frame the answer in your GS paper 2. Right? These keywords like proactive, technology-enabled, citizen-centric administration. Right? File pushing bureaucracy. These are all keywords you have to use. right? So this, while originally meant for grievance redressal, its utility now extends to broad systematic reforms, right? So by using these keywords, I will write the introduction. After that, let's now think of stakeholders and government functional aspects. So first we will see the template for the stakeholders. Look at this. Stakeholders based. Who all are the stakeholders? Like citizens, government departments, right? Then public servants, bureaucracy, civil societies, NGOs, the implementing agencies, right? Now, can we link all these points? Right? Can we generate the points based on this? Kitne points hain? Can anyone calculate? Right? Then, so this is the benefit, this is the importance of when you start thinking practically. Otherwise, आप लोग 4 पॉइंट के बाद you were exhausted, right? So try to divide at what the different levels, right? Because the CP Grams portal are going to help everyone, right? For example, like NGOs or civil societies, they will assess to grievance, they will get access to the grievance data, right? They will identify the systematic gaps. What are the issues in the functioning of the department, government department, right? They will start pressurizing the government department, right? Then strengthening the advocacy. So even if you don't know what exactly is the CP, like how, first of all, you don't have to get into the technicality of the CP gram. You just need to know what exactly it is. It is a common platform to address or for grievance readdressal mechanism, to get the feedback, right? To process the information, to collect the data related to implementation of the scheme, all this, right? So this is how I'm going to generate the n number of points. Is there any other template you can use? Yes. Apart from stakeholder, is there any other approach can we think of? Apart from stakeholders? Government function based approach. Life cycle of policy. Yes, life cycle of policy is also like policy formulation, policy implementation, policy evaluation, right? Then policy quality, right? So that is the life cycle of the policy formulation, policy implementation, policy evaluation, quality, right? So government function based, for example, this is what I have written: policy formulation, then service delivery, transparency and accountability, right? Administrative efficiency, digital governance, ethical governance, right? Then participatory governance. So this is the second template I am going to use, or I can use rather. Are you able to link these points with the CP gram? Everyone? Or any doubt? Right? Because the CP gram portal will provide the data. Government will have access to the data, who all are able to avail the benefit from or benefit of any scheme, any policy, right? If the government will not have the data, how the government will act on it, right? How the government will address the issues or the gaps in the policy. Similarly, you can link each and every point in that. right? So function based template, and on the other hand we have stakeholder, right? I hope this is clear. Now, after this, what we have to address? The challenges. Challenges at what level we can think of? Now we are talking about the technology driven citizen centric administration, right? Technology driven. So most of the point or many points we can generate. For example, the very first problem, the most important challenge what we are going to face here. First, constitutional, right? There is a constitutional challenge, for example, right to privacy, right? Yes, stakeholder approach like this. This is the stakeholder approach. Take this screenshot. Okay. You have taken, Ravikant? Constitutional, legal, institutional challenges, infrastructural challenges, digital challenges, equity and inclusion challenges, monitoring and feedback challenges, right? So all like these are the different levels we can think of, right? What about how equity and inclusion challenges? What are the equity and inclusion challenges? Yes, digital divide, Muskan, very good, right? What about monitoring and feedback challenges? How come? Monitoring where? Where monitoring? Monitoring and feedback challenges. How many? Pranjal, see, I am showing a lot of points, but that doesn't mean you have to think how to fit every point in the answer. It is impossible in the given amount of time and space. So feedback challenges or monitoring means whatever the data the government is collecting from CPGram, right? What are the grievances which are being registered? There is no feedback mechanism for that, right? You try it and you will feel it. Trust me. You will be able to register your complaint, but you will not get the feedback whether it is being processed. Automated email you will get. Successfully you have registered your complaint. But uske baad you will never get any feedback from anyone, right? So this is the problem. Yes, lack of accountability. Yes. Right. So this is the broad idea. Now, on the same level, what Shatakshi ma'am has said, reverse the issues in the way forward. Reverse the issues. That is the best strategy, because when I'm reviewing the answers, many students, they write different challenges and they provide the suggestions which does not have any synchronization. Challenges दूसरे हैं, suggestions कहीं और के दे रहे हैं. It doesn't make any sense, right? So reversing the issues are the best possible suggestions you can give, right? Then now the conclusion. 3 conclusions I have given. Technology enables the government to listen better, act faster, and govern smarter, inspired by ethos of Digital India. CPGrams goes beyond complaint resolution. It's now a feedback engine for governance reform. With smart integration, it can evolve into a true citizen governance interface for Jan Bhagidari se Jan Kalyan. Again, I have picked up this keyword from the PIB itself. From Jan Bhagidari, for Jan Bhagidari se Jan Kalyan. Right? And the last is from grievances redressal to grievances prevention. This was the only thing, na? From reactive to proactive. So either of the keywords or the phrases you can use for your conclusion, right? And this statement, right? I'm sure you will get the question on digitalization, right? It will either in the like in GS paper 2 or even in the GS paper 3, right? There will be one question for sure. So this is a universal phrase you can say, you can use it in your answers to conclude, right? Yes. From grievances redressal to grievances prevention. Like this is what we have discussed. Grievances redressal. हाँ तो अब प्रिवेंट भी करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं ना हम लोग. Through CP Gram, we are like from the use of technology, we are also trying to prevent it. Right. Now, the next question. Artificial intelligence can transform governance, but not without risk. Critically evaluate the benefits and challenges of integrating AI into the India's governance system. Do I need to explain the template, what you are going to use in this? How many approach can we use to address the demand of this question? Tell me. Stakeholder and government and functional, right? Now you see this entire governance topic has become so easy. Even when there is one more template. What? Sectoral, right? So stakeholder, sectoral and government functional. Sectoral में like health, education, agriculture, infrastructure, governance, right? So this is how. But what is most important part in this question, what you may miss, is examples. You should have the examples where the AI is being used for the good governance, right? And one more important thing, right? Look at these keywords. There is one more template I'm going to tell you. There is one more template I'm going to tell you. How the application of AI ensures the good governance. Can we link it with the good governance template? Can we use it? जो 8 component हैं, we can even leverage the AI for that also, right? So that can be used. But the problem is, again, like I have told you, the examples, right? So introduction mein, obviously, you know what to be used, right? Don't start defining the AI, please. For God's sake, don't do it. I have seen it's just completely forget the word definition, okay? Don't use it unless the question is very specific. When the question says, define or what do you understand by the artificial intelligence, don't define it, right? So this is the using the templates, right? Service delivery, transparency, accountability, grievance redressal, welfare, urban governance, law and order, education, agriculture, disaster management, judicial and administrative reforms, and all these examples which I have given, right? These examples are the most recent, right? These examples are like good examples you can quote. You can prepare the list of these examples. right? How the AI is being used for the good governance. So now you know the templates, right? You just have to go and Google the data. Now I hope you understand what exactly are the one-pager notes, right? One-pager notes bante kaise hain? Because toppers already know these, how to break down the keywords, how to break down the statement. They just keep data, facts, examples in their notes. On the other hand, when you have to prepare the notes, you will start with significance of artificial intelligence. है ना? आप लोग significance of you, like I don't understand. यार 2 मिनट बैठ के सोच तो लो पहले. I am damn sure you will automatically be able to generate 7-8 points. What is the significance of artificial intelligence in the good governance? हमको सोचना ही नहीं है, बस उठा के नोट्स बनाने स्टार्ट कर देना है, just for the sake of filling the pages. There are a lot of things you already know, but you don't realize on your own. This is a problem, right? So I hope this is clear. The last part is, again, we will address some challenges related to it. The same challenges we can use, right? Data privacy, no AI law, infra gaps, skill shortage, bias risk, weak IP law, low participation. So the same challenges we can use, right? But again, if you are this kind of data, if you will give it, it will add more value in your answers. As simple as that, right? Suggestions I have not written here because it will be the same. Last is this statement I have again picked up from the PIB, right? What is most important is this line. India's proactive approach is not only strengthening its digital economy, but also paving the way for self-reliance in critical technologies. With a clear vision for the future, India is set to become a leader in AI innovations, shaping the global AI landscape in the years to come. This will give a good feeling to the examiner that yes, India is going to become a leader in the AI, right? So obviously, we have to appreciate the efforts our government is putting up, right? So PIB is must for GS paper 2. When we will be discussing GS paper 3, and for there is one more website you can refer related to, I will write it down, Policy Circle. Has anyone gone through it? Policy Circle website, right? So try to read the articles, their blogs. You will get lot of contemporary debates, the most contemporary debates, right? So Policy Circle is very, very important document, or the website. So whenever you have the time, Jitendra, how to do the current affairs? I cannot answer this question in one line, right? You can, like, I will say, up koi time, now this is not, see, daily newspaper reading, you should not stop that, I will say, but don't start like, and if you find any value addition data examples, just quote it in your notes, right? If you are not able to read, see, it is not about how to read the current affair. It is, I think you are more concerned about current affair is too much and how to concise it. That is the major issue, I believe. So in that case, everyone, if you are finding it difficult to cover the current affair, I would say at least just pick up the recitals, right? Or if you are using any other magazine, maybe at least go through the indexes, right? From indexes, you will get the idea what all important debates are in the news. Because anyway, content will be static. Content to static hi jayega, right? So at least, for example, if you know, right? If you know, or suppose you are going to prepare a notes on the topic governor, right? So you should know what all debates are happening. There is one debate always in the news related to the misuse of executive power of the governor, right? So definitely the question can be expected from that area. In that, what argument are you going to write? Like the answer will be only from your notes only, right? Or whatever you have understood from the Lakshmikant, right? So argument will remain same. You should know just the context, because context will help you, the index will help you to frame the introduction, right? Introduction में आप उस context को use कर सकते हो. Otherwise, you can either pick up recitals and all, or you can use Google, right? Or you can use Google. Google पे जाओ, like just type any topic, for example parliamentary committees, just go to the Google News and just look at the different articles what they are talking about, right? So you will get different aspects, different issues related to that. So Google News is also very reliable, because it will not only show Hindu or Indian Express, right? It will list you some other articles, like News Click के articles बहुत अच्छे होते हैं, right? So Statesman के article अच्छे होते हैं, तो you will get what debates are taking place, right? So this is all about the session. So we'll end it. For any question, do let me know. And any one of you, if you want to get your answers evaluated, then please bring your answers to Vajiram 7B building, okay? Other senior mentors are there, so they will give you the live feedback, personalized feedback, you can say. But as of now, I will emphasize more on brainstorming, okay? Because don't try to judge. I don't want you to judge in this phase. This phase is not about how much marks you are getting. This phase is the learning phase. So focus on the learning, right? It's not, this is not the phase of judgment. When we will start with the half-length test, right? Then you will understand the importance of all these discussion. Right now you are getting only 5 questions. You might not be feeling any kind of pressure. When you will start writing 10 answers, then your fingers will start paining, right? Then you will understand what you are learning today, the importance of this, right? Ravikant, thank you. Pura mind abhi nahi khula hai. When you are going to do on your own, then you will realize. Okay, so thank you so much. We'll see you in the next session. Thank you.